So, hello, my name is Danuta Psuty, and I am a little bit overwhelmed with this stage. And also, I'm thrilled that there is people actually showed to my performance for my lecture. So here we go. We will talk about the process of level design. So yeah, this is me. If you want to see me closer, that's me. I don't have my coat on me right now because it's too hot. But about my experience, who I am exactly, you already saw my face, so now I will tell you a little bit about my experience. So the thing is that I have been working in this industry for more than 10 years right now. I started in 2012, and I always been a level designer. So I never did anything besides level design. A little bit maybe game design, but it was always called level design. And I want to tell you about this experience I had about level design and what actually it means to be a level designer. So I worked in several companies, 6 to be exactly. It was Techland, C Games, then Ubisoft, then People Can Fly, then Flying Wild Hogs, and right now I'm in Bloober team. And the funny thing is that in each of those companies, level design means something a little bit different. And I also worked on several games. As you can see, there were different kinds of. So one were open worlds, and the other were more like corridor shooters. So that also change what you, as a level designer, will do. So why I actually want to talk about the level design. There is a funny story. Because once I was invited by very cool guys, they wanted to recruit me. They took me to a very fancy dinner for a sushi. We ate there, and they talked that they really wanted to hire me. And after this very fancy dinner, I went to their company for a recruitation talk, and they asked me, okay, so how are you fluent with 3D Max? I said, no. Okay, so how are you fluent about Maya? I said, no, sorry, I am not fluent at all. Say, so what are you doing exactly? Say, well, I am a level designer. So you're not creating assets? No, sorry, guys. And, well, there was this frosty silence after that. Probably they were counting how much they spent on my sushi, but at least they didn't wanted this money back, so that was cool. But why I want to tell you why I telling you this story is because I want you to not spend money on level designers. You don't know what exactly they are doing. So here we go. So. If you think about level designer, you can actually think he's or she is a level owner, but the question is, do they do art, story, or what? I would say that the most important thing about level designer is that he or she is a hub for whatever is happening on the level. So if you have any questions, okay, so what's the state of AI? What's the state of assets or anything like that? First, ask a level designer. Of course, don't expect he or she to deliver it, but you can talk with them about that. And really, it is a little bit different for each company. So I want to show you the general flow of the work for level designers. So first thing, we will talk about each of those parts during the presentation. So first it is level pitch, there is the documentation, of course, the favorite part for everybody, writing documentation. Then there is first white box, so we are working like oxes. That's why I have my ox there. Then there are then the other teams comes into the level. So there's AI, animations, events. There's mostly about AI and animation, and also story beats. It's cool if we have a narrative team during the white box phase, but it's usually not like that. But it would be cool. Then we have of course, the feedback loop, then the arrival of the assets. I would really like to talk to you about the arrival of the assets and how it is, well, breaking the level, breaking the build, breaking the milestone, breaking everything. And I would really like to stress how it is important to give level designers the time to fix their levels after enviro artists or level artists, or however they are called in your company, will go into the level, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. Then, of course, comes the beta, then another feedback loop, and certification, which is also a huge process for all the levels, because during that certification, as you know, lots of things are breaking apart, they are cut, and so on. And of course, it also goes with the levels, because, well, everything in your game are happening in the levels. So if something is cut, you have to do something with the level. And of course, then we have the ship of the game, and everything just flops and so on. Well, I'm kidding, don't worry. So the first thing usually for a level designer is that we got the pitch. It's usually from the creative director, who is telling you, okay, I want to have a level that is happening on a conference zone, something like that. And this usually comes from the creative director. Level designer is not usually the one who is pitching the project, I mean the level, but the one receiving it, and he or she has to do something with it. So, well, for example, I had to do, well, different stuff. Like, for example, I was designing also 3 different kind of hubs. I was designing hubs for Outriders, for Evil West, and I was also designing the small hubs for Assassin's Creed Syndicate, where I was working on horse races in this game. Also did some levels, like if you think level design, you think this white box level, so I also did that, so like a regular level design work, but also besides that, I was delivering several side quests or main quests. This is what level designer is doing when there is open world game involved in it, so it's not really like a conventional level design with white box and so on, more like a scripting, quest designing, but still it's called level design. So you have to have it in mind when talking with a level designer, what he or she is actually doing. And yeah, about the level pitch. As you can see, I created the hub for Evil West. I was really driving that we would have some women there, so I'm really happy that they're actually there, that they're in the game. And actually, I did the same for the Assassin's Creed Syndicate. You may not really notice it, but every time you have to pick up this race, there were some guys standing there. There is this board, there are horses' names written on it. So yeah, it was me who placed it. Well, besides placing the races, of course. And okay, so if you have you already know what the creative director wants from your hub or a quest or a level. You have to identify what is the most important thing in this level. You will have to you will have to deliver. So it's usually something about new AI or new weapon or just some Vista. Well, for Vista it's probably the most boring at first, because for level designer it's not really something to do, but well, that means that you have a free hand to do whatever you want. And when you already pitch, okay, so what is the most important in this level, what your creative director wants from you, what's the most important, then comes the most fun part of being a level designer, which is looking for a reference. So it's, well, usually you play other games, you watch lots of YouTube, you watch movies. For example, when I was doing this bar for Evil West, I watched several westerns, and actually I was very happy I could rewatch my favorite Maverick movie. When it's a game about playing poker, so I guess we have some poker players right now in Evil West. So that's because of me. I really wanted to have a little bit Maverick moments with poker. And after that, after you gather all those documentation, all those references, you know what your level will be, what is the highlights, you have to write the documentation, which is the least fun part, but it is very important. I know nobody likes it, but it is important to write it at the very beginning, because it will be used by your AI designers, it will be used especially it will be used by your enviro artist, assets artist, or course production. I know that this documentation will go stale very fast, but still please write about it. What's your intention for the level, and just put everything there. Every your idea, everything, it's the page you can flaunt. And say after that, yeah, I had this cool idea, because, well, ideas are cheap, and after a while from those 10 ideas, maybe one will survive. But anyway, write it. Okay, so the second stage, or third stage, about being level designer and working as a level designer is creating the white box. You know what white box is, when there are only the boxes placed on the level, and there is only a path you can go. For me, it's important that also in this stage you will introduce some colors into your level. I found this very neat-looking level layout, which you can already say which are covers, which are high covers, because they are in different colors. I know not everybody is using colors, but it's cool. It's cool. Please use colors when you're designing your levels. It will really help other enviro artists and AI designers or combat designers when they will check your level and understand what you wanted to deliver, because more than often you will not be on the presentation on your level when other teams will look into the level and discuss, okay, so maybe here we will introduce this and this boss here, or this new enemy here, and you will not be on this meeting probably. So colors will help them to understand what was your idea. And then, when you have your first blockout, the fun starts, because you have to talk with AI designers, combat designers, animators, about whatever will happen on this level. Of course, cool also if you will talk with your narrative designers about, for example, loot placement or any nodes placements, and so on. The thing is that all the things that you're talking right now in this stage are drafts, as I write, because as you know, in the game everything changes, and if AI changes, your level will change, because level and AI are very connected. I think even there is a saying that the level is as good as AI. So yeah, it's a work from the very beginning till the very end with level and AI. So yeah, as I said also, from the very first stage there is a feedback going on and going again, because it's changing all the time. In fact, I once worked with guys who came from the modding community, And they were a little bit furious about that. They delivered the level and they thought, okay, it's done. But not actually, it was not done because the AI changed, the behavior of AI changed, even a little bit change of AI starts to influence the level, and you have to do the covers a little bit. You have to put the covers wider or a little bit into, well, you know what you have to do with the covers. But this is what the people from the modeling community not really understand, that the works on a level is constant, and usually if you are attached to one level, you will have to be, you know, like your husband from the very beginning till the very end. And now I like to talk about my favorite part, which is the arrival of the assets, which is always breaking the game. Like really, I worked on 6 companies, and it always was a problem when because, well, maybe I will talk a little bit. I will talk about it. So you have your white box, you have your AI. It's working, cool, and then your enviro artist or level artist starts to put assets on the level. So delete the white boxes and put something there, I don't know, maybe trees or rocks or whatever, and it's influence how the AI will behave. It has new collisions. Sometimes enviro artists are not really respecting what's there, so it's sometimes you had a door there, and next day the doors are gone. And what happened to the doors? And you have to do the rewrote because the enviro artist said, oh, look, I have this concept art, because of course they are working on a concept art, and on this concept art I didn't have a doors. So you have to, well, adapt. It's very important to, as a level designer, to adapt all the time. And well, when I was working on Assassin's Creed, we had, because it's a huge company, there was over 2,000 people working on this game all day long, because part of us were in UK and part of us were in Canada. And I was doing the races. I did all the routes and so on. And then we have the content log, so designers are not working, but then the enviro artist starts to put their assets into these London streets, and all of a sudden our routes were gone because there were houses like popping out of nowhere. And of course we had a content log, so we were not really able to change anything, but of course there was a special person who I had to go to, said, oh, I have a house in the middle of my street, I have to do the reroute, and he's, all right, okay, I will write a special code, you can put something on Perforce right now. It was, well, I think it made the work a little bit harder, so my biggest, how's it called? Well, what I want to ask you, if you are producers, really to give time when assets arise for your level designers to change the levels accordingly, because it's always a problem. Okay, so, well, this is what I talked about. So the arrival of the assets, which are the biggest problem, but of course, there are lots of things that we level designers can do, which is, first is place blocking volumes if there are problems, but my most favorite thing is just delete things. I just, sometimes I am furious and I just hitting delete all the time, and after that, the environment is coming, say, where are my assets? I don't know. So after we are done with all the assets, all the enviro stuff, shenanigans, and so on. We have, again, the feedback loop, which is coming back this time. Our enviro artists are involved. And the fun thing is, maybe I will change it here, yeah. The fun thing is with this another feedback loop is that this is the part when your level starts to shrink, because usually you don't have enough manpower to deliver the full level. I mean, when we speak about assets, and we have to just cut things, which is, well, all right, as I said, level designer has to adapt, and you have to cut your stuff. You can't treat them as your kids. You can cry later about that. Actually, I cried several times when they asked me to cut some things. I wanted to be there, but, well, nobody saw it, at least. So that's it. I also wanted to say about the updates of the other system. And for me, the problem is that also the narrative team came usually when there are already assets on the level, which I think it's a little bit problem, because when they arrive, it's already too late to change anything, really. For example, in the Outriders, we had this hub in the Trenchtown, which also was working on, and the very first stage, when I looked into this hub and what animation we had, I saw that there are lots of people we had lots of animation of people who are eating something. So I just put people eating here, people eating there. Some guy was pissing, so also he was pissing there. Of course, because he ate something or drank something. So there are lots of people eating. And after we were done with eating, with animation of people eating and so on, putting them in groups, eating together, came our narrative designer who said, Danka, I had a story for this Trenchtown, you know, there is famine going. Like, but everybody's eating. So it would be cool if the narrative team came before this part, before animation, AI, and arrival of the assets. So yeah, feedback is always good. Then the beta approaches, as I told you already, delete button is your king there, because there are lots of last-minute changes. You realize that your level is too big, that assets will not arrive on time, animation will not arrive on time. So you have to learn to cut things, and you have to, well, learn to let go things and, well, cry later. And after the beta comes a certificate. So everybody who is working for the console know also this part, that this is quite the hard situation when the QA is working all the time and reporting all the blockers, or that something is not working on PlayStation, and you start to think, fuck PlayStation, why are we delivering on it? But then more deletes coming. And, well, usually in this stage, when you look at your level and you look at your documentation, you realize, oh my God, so many things are lost. And I could deliver such a good level, but I delivered this. But that's all right. You have to live with it. And, well, have your documentation to check on your progress and be proud of yourself. That's it. And, well, as I said before, learn to let it go. And yes, we ship the game, which is usually not what you thought it will be. But again, cry in the corner and then open the champagne and be happy with that. So, okay, let's wrap it up about what is a level designer. So he or she is the one who is delivering the very first layout of the level. and is working on this level from the very beginning till the very end with other teams. He's the hub to go to about the AI, about the art, and so on, what is happening. So he's the one also looking for features, but he's not really delivering them. But it's good to talk to him or she about, or her about what's happening there. And also what's important about being a level designer is to be prepared for a constant feedback, constant cut, and feel no regret, no remorse about it. So yeah, that's it from me. I hope I cleared a little bit from you what is a level designer and what are we actually doing. It is a fun work, I like it, but it is a little bit hard. It's not hard in technical point of view because, you know, putting white boxes is not really hard, or writing blueprints in Unreal Engine is also not very hard, but what hard is this feedback. It's working with other departments, so you have to have a little bit people skills. And also, it's hard to learn to let things go. So yeah, that's from me. Thank you.